A strange small van first emerged on the horizon as the late afternoon sun began to set over the peaceful streets of post-war Britain. It wasn't flashy or quick, but it was clearly determined. Its tiny shape, sliding doors on either side, and rounded front seemed almost too modest to revolutionize anything. However, for more than 10 years, from 1949 to 1961, this modest workhorse transported not just goods but also the aspirations of a country rising from the shadow of war. The Morris J-type van was that car. Like the factories that constructed it and the streets it served, it would come to represent the tenacity and inventiveness of the British people. Nevertheless, despite its significant influence, the J-type would gradually disappear from the roads it assisted in rebuilding as newer models took its place and many people forgot about it. But why did Britain's cherished J-type go, despite the fact that it had influenced the entire fabric of post-war society and trade? Following World War II, Britain experienced unprecedented levels of devastation. Industries were overextended, cities were in ruins, and the economy desperately needed to recover. People yearned for growth, stability, and resources that would enable them to start over. Light commercial cars became indispensable in this period of scarcity and cautious hope. Reliable transportation was necessary for businesses to carry goods, factories to transfer parts, and important services like postal workers and milkmen. In response, British manufacturers, including Morris Commercial, a division of Morris Motors, was ready to launch something that would go down in British history. The Morris J-type van, a little but powerful 10 CWT vehicle with practicality at its core, came off the assembly line in 1949. The J-type's front controls and sliding doors optimized its load area inside a small footprint at a period when most vans were built on antiquated pre-war chassis. It had a welcoming, nearly identifiable presence thanks to its unique split windscreen and pear-shaped grille, as if it represented the spirit of a country willing to move forward in spite of its wounds. A small 1,476 cubic centimeters four-cylinder engine, quite similar to the modern Morris Oxford, was located beneath the hood. Although it was by no means powerful, its dependability and simplicity made it ideal for the van's purpose. Operators quickly found that the J-type performed well where it counted most. In the quiet neighborhoods where housewives waited for their deliveries, on the narrow lanes leading to farms, and in the busy streets of Britain's towns, despite having a 3-speed gearbox and a top speed that was anything but thrilling. Beyond its mechanical components, however, the J-type's adaptability was what really made it stand out. The J-type became many things to many people, in contrast to many commercial cars that were beasts with only one purpose. Morris provided the van in its entirety, but coach builders could also purchase it as a rolling chassis and use it to create ambulances, tipper trucks, pickup trucks, ice cream vans, and mobile snack bars. Thousands of them were bought by the British Post Office, which modified them for mail routes that ran from London to the Scottish Highlands and fitted many of them with rubber wings. The J-type was lovingly embraced by postal services in Australia and New Zealand, and in certain remote areas, the vans became an integral part of everyday life. The J-type became a silent hero of small enterprises in Britain in a variety of situations. While a greengrocer used his to carry vegetables to doorsteps throughout the town, a baker in a Midlands town would load his loaves in the early morning light and roll off in his J-type. A bike shop owner near Gray's Inn Road depended on his J-type as a wandering advertisement, using the van's big body panels as a canvas for weekend company promotion. This narrative is told in workshops around the nation. In these capacities, the van was a partner in people's daily routines and means of subsistence rather than merely a tool. The J-type has drawbacks despite its great popularity and usefulness. Although its engine was sufficient, drivers started to notice its lackluster performance by the late 1950s. as competitors produced forward-looking commercial vehicles with overhead valve engines and 4-speed transmissions that gave higher torque and efficiency. The engine, a side valve design inherited from passenger cars, was showing its age and accelerating slowly. Morris tried to address this in 1957 with an upgraded JB version that included a 4-speed transmission and a larger 1,489 cubic centimeters BMC B-Series engine. This was a fix rather than a metamorphosis, but it did assist. Additionally, there were more profound pressures at work. With more expansive strategic goals, Morris's parent company and Austin merged to establish the British Motor Corporation in 1952. In an effort to standardize its commercial offerings and meet changing market expectations, BMC offered new lines, such as the somewhat bigger J2 and more contemporary J4, while maintaining support for the J-Type. The tiny J-Type started to look antiquated next to its successors as consumer expectations switched toward cars that could provide more power, comfort, and capacity. Nevertheless, the J-Type continued to fight in fleets and on high streets, serving as a reassuring symbol of the post-war rebuilding. It had both commercial and cultural effects. For a generation of British drivers, it was as commonplace to see a red telephone box on a street corner as it was to see a J-Type trundling down a small lane with its engine humming. Older viewers find nostalgia and a sense of community that modern life frequently lacks in recollections of waiting for ice cream from a J-Type sliding window or seeing one loaded with packages. However, the J-Type's demise was starting to seem imminent by the early 1960s. Vans with more powerful engines, larger payload capacities, and improved comfort were now accessible thanks to developments in commercial vehicle design. The J-Type, a product from a bygone era, seemed more and more out of step with the demands of growing urban centers and quick-moving logistics. After more than 48,600 units had been produced, production ultimately stopped in early 1961. The Morris J4, a more modern design that lacked the personality of its predecessor but was more appropriate for the needs of the day, quietly replaced the van. Today, the J-Type's removal from the road may be linked to the organic development of an industry rather than a single defect. In the face of increasing competition and shifting expectations, what was once its strength, simplicity, became a thing of the past. The modest van that had served so dutifully was progressively retired as British society flourished and transportation networks updated. Its engineering was never designed for fast freeway driving or high-speed hauling. However, for those who recall it, the J-Type's legacy endures, not just in restored classics that show up in exhibitions and private collections, but also in the shared recollection of a period when every little delivery felt like a step toward rebirth. Echoes of its allure have even prompted a resurgence of the moniker in electric form in recent years as contemporary designers appreciate the past and adapt its classic silhouette for a new era. The Morris J-Type is more than just a commercial van. It is the tale of a country reconstructing itself, of modest companies creating futures on cobblestone streets, and of a common car turning into a remarkable aspect of daily existence. The milk rounds, the patchwork of family-run stores, and the busy streets dominated by this little van are just a few of the J-Type's former haunts that have vanished, but the memory endures as evidence of its subtle, long-lasting influence. Consider subscribing if you enjoy tales like this one about cars that influenced history and the people who love them. We honor the heritage of machines and the individuals they impacted by sharing stories that transcend beyond mechanics.